And we're back for another episode of Standpoint. I'm Gabe Groisman, and I am actually sitting in the biblical heartland of Israel right now, in probably the territory, the space that's the focus of most of the conflict of the world. It shouldn't be by any means, but it really is. I'm in the middle of what people call the West Bank. Some people call it the occupied territories, illegally occupied territories. We'll go through all of that. I don't believe in any of those things, by the way, to make sure everybody's clear. This is the biblical heartland, the heart of Israel, Judea and Samaria, where Jews come from. I'm here in Israel for the week on a mission, which we could talk about maybe on the next episode. But while I was here, I really thought it was important to come and meet with the source, the head of the settlement council, the Judea and Samaria Council, the head of the Yesha Council, it's called here. He's the governor of the largest region of Judea and Samaria, Binyamin, Israel Ganz. He's a friend. I've gotten to know him over the years. When I was mayor, we started interacting, doing some things, and really is just a great guy who can help us unpack some of the things we've been hearing. We've been hearing Joe Biden make statements week after week when he's looking for a punching bag in Israel that he thinks won't be offensive. He just goes after the quote-unquote settlement community. We've seen him threaten sanctions against right-wing violent settlers. It's sort of his version of going after quote-unquote MAGA Republicans when he's trying to go after the right. And it's really important. This is where the stories of the Bible come from. This is the heart, frankly, from my perspective, of the entire world. And the person with the most intimate knowledge of what's happening here, especially since October 7th, is my friend Israel Ganz. Israel, thanks for joining.
Thank you for coming. Happy to have you here.
It's great to be here again. This is, we're in the middle of the war. I think we're month 7 of this war since October 7th. Someone can do the math and correct me if I'm wrong. And, this is my 3rd time here since the war started. And I can tell you the first time I came in November, it seemed like chaos. It was like the middle of a war zone, no matter where I was in Israel. I came back in April, and I felt that the country really sort of stabilized. And people, while the war was going on, people went on with their lives. Now I feel that people are tired. The war's been going on for a long time. People have been serving many rounds. First, let's just start broad, big pictures. How are you doing? How's your family doing in this long war so far?
So I want to thank you for coming during the war. For us, it really harmed our hearts that people overseas come and stand with us, and you and as the people that watch us right now and support Israel. We really thank you. And we feel that it's not our war. It's a common war that we have to do together. I don't think that people are tired, but it's not easy. It's not easy. 8 months of war. I never dreamed that part of my position as a governor will be to knock on door and to inform families that they lost a loved one. It's so heartbreaking for me and my people, psychologists, all the team, to go with the families, to inform them, to stand at the funeral. And you came and you saw a funeral at your eyes. It's heartbreaking. Only in Binyamin we have more than 40 fallen soldiers that fought this war. We have hundreds of injured soldiers. And even people that didn't injure, like my sons, they served in the army, they fought in October 7th for months. What they saw, I don't want to describe, but they will not forget it for all their life. When I arrived to Be'eri and other periphery, 3 days after October 7th, the smells, the views, I will never forget that. So it's not easy. It's not easy to fight for so long time, but it's a big but. We're believers. And we are in Binyamin, we are in Judea and Samaria. Every type of hill we can find as footsteps of our forefather. We can find coins. We can find a pottery shard. We can find, and we know that the battle about the freedom, the battle about a freedom of Zion, and freedom for the world against, I will say, it started 1,000 years ago, and it will never happen. It will never finish. But together, we have to stand strong, and we must defeat these terrorists. We must do that for our people, for our families, and for the next generation.
So it's interesting. We're sitting in the Binyamin region, the Benjamin region, for the tribe of Benjamin, correct? That's what the land of Israel is why it's named the land of Benjamin. But first off, you want to explain that. Why is this region called the Benjamin region, the Binyamin region?
So most of the biblical stories happen here in the heart of the land of Israel, and the tribe of Benjamin was here, north to Jerusalem. So now we are sitting north to Jerusalem. We used to say Jerusalem suburbs. We're north to Jerusalem, and Benjamin, it's north to Jerusalem, Ephraim to Samaria. But I'm not only the governor of Benjamin region council, I'm also the chairman of Judea and Samaria Council, which represent all the authorities in Judea and Samaria. 25 authorities in all Judea and Samaria was what people call, by mistaken, a West Bank. I don't know where is the river that we are sitting in its bank, in Judea and Samaria. Judea and Samaria is a biblical name. We came here after a long exile. We came here after our forefathers that lived here. All the towns here named on the biblical name of, and you saw by your eyes the ancient towns that we had here with ancient mikvehs that our forefathers used, ancient synagogue, and we have here ancient Shiloh, the tabernacle. When the people of Israel came from Egypt, they came here, and the first capital of Israel for 369 years was Shiloh. And today we can find so many findings of our forefathers. We're coming back, very proud. We understand the war and the state of Israel. It was, and today it's a difficult war. We have 7 fronts. You know, before the war, I never hear the name Houthis. Houthis, where are they from? Today, what? You know, we don't have any relationship with them. Why do they attack us? Not because we are here by an accident. They want us to give up. They want to build a terror bridge between states, and they think we will give us. Never happen. We have a deep roots in the ground here, and we'll stay here.
Just to unpack a little bit about what you were talking about, some to explain, but also to interject a little. First of all, the Houthis have been attacking American troops ever since October of last year, for a while on a daily basis, until the U.S. started responding to the Houthis, which are just a terror arm of Iran. Saw this as an opportunity to continue to attack the West, which is what it's a war of. Well, just to also explain something, you were talking about the West Bank. You said, what bank are we the west of? For the listeners who don't know, this region was only named the West Bank by Jordan when Jordan occupied this area from 1948 to 1967. It was the West Bank of the Jordan River. Usually when someone refers to a bank, it's a couple feet, the bank of a river, or a couple feet, maybe a couple yards or meters. But at the width of this area that they call the West Bank, which goes all the way to Jerusalem, if I'm not mistaken, it's something like 30 miles, is that right?
About.
Right, so they call it that because what's in a name, right? They're trying to erase what was there before, which is Judea and Samaria, and people still call it that. But let's go back a little bit before October 7th. Before October 7th, the left, both in the United States and in Israel, and I'm using that term broadly, of course, would look at the Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria and what they call the West Bank as the obstacles for peace, because this is a land where the left would like to see somehow some sort of Palestinian state. Right? Of course, the Palestinians don't ask for a two-state solution, only the Westerners, the left-wing Westerners in Europe and the United States. But what's your answer to the charge that before after October 7th, things change, and we'll get to that next. But just to lay the groundwork, what's your answer to the charge that Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria are an obstacle to any peace with the Palestinians?
You're right that after October 7th, everything had been changed. But when Hamas attacked in October 7th, they run on media and they say, we killed the settlers. Settlers not in Judea and Samaria, they were in Gaza. For them, in their eyes, the problem is not Judea and Samaria. When they march from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. What do they mean? You know, between the river to the sea, there is no state of Israel. Without this, all the state of Israel running from the river to the sea. They are looking for a reason to say we have a problem. But they march, and I think, you know, when we have terrorists, we have to believe them. They say from the river to the sea, they don't want us to sit here now. People talk about over the Green Line, the Western Wall that we pray for. We didn't stop praying for thousands of years. It's over the Green Line. What was here before 48? You know, people talk about Palestinian. Where were they before 1948? It was here Jordan, south of Egypt. North Golan was Syria. North Galilee was Lebanon. Where were they, the Palestinian? Trying to look for a reason, but Gabe, for some reason, this is the most sensitive place in the world. Look, think about it. We are a small state, a small country. All the world talk about this small country, what will be here. And for years, the Roman, Greek, they all deal with this place. Why? You can say because it's a holy land, and it's a holy for, for Jews, for Christians, for Muslim. You can say because it's a bridge between the Middle East, Europe, and it's a very important place to protect the world. And even today, the United States of America has interest here to keep this area, because here is a key between the Middle East and Europe. But we understand that it's deep reason that empires in the world want to control this area for years. For years.
Is that why you think, sorry to interject, but is that why you think, well, the viewers and listeners probably don't know, but the European Union and many countries therein fund a lot of the construction of the Arab settlements and Arab communities spreading out into Jewish areas around Judea and Samaria? Is that why they're doing it? Are they trying to get a foothold over the region, or is it just, you think, sort of they've bought into the left-wing ideology of helping the oppressed? They're what they think are the oppressed people. What do you think is the interest today of these European countries to push so hard against Israel, especially in the region that you govern?
So before I answer, the point that you just mentioned, it's unbelievable. I can take you for a school that's built illegally in a place that's supposed to be a road or whatever, and there is a sign donated or sponsored by, in the name of the countries. We can see Belgium, we can see Switzerland, European countries. Think about if I will build, a house on the way between DC and New York, illegally, I will say sponsored by the state of Israel. They will kill me in a second. How can countries all over the world put their hands in a democratic state and work illegally and put their signs? Now, I understand that they all want to be involved with the Palestinian and the state of Israel from different reasons. Part of them, they don't want the Palestinian in their state and want to relax the area and think that if you will give the lion a food, he will be relaxed. It will be the opposite. If you will give him hope, he will bite you. And the second, I met so many people, I say, you believe in two-state solution, democrat, whatever? Okay, can you open a map and draw where is two states? I never met someone that knew where is the state. It's nothing.
And anyone who's drawn the state, it's a totally indefensible state for Israel, which is why the Palestinians are quiet while the world says two-state solution. Sorry to interrupt again. Because for them, it's only a stepping stone to a one-state solution from the river to the sea, which is what they say. Let's take a minute away from the show to talk about personal responsibility. One thing we learned during the COVID pandemic is that it is our responsibility to be prepared with medications that our family may need if someone gets sick. We know there's other pandemics that are being talked about a lot, whether it's the bird flu, but it's not just pandemics. It's just being ready to take care of our families and not having to rely on that moment, that flash when something happens, to rush to a doctor, to go out and get the medication you need, hope they have it at the pharmacy. There's a way to be prepared, and it's our responsibility to do so. Fortunately, you can get medications like Tamiflu easily without having to book an office appointment with your old physician. The wellness company developed a Contagion emergency kit. It's a prescription-only stockpile of life-saving medications like Tamiflu, ivermectin, Z-Pak. There's tons of great medications in their packs. You can check it out online at twc.health/Gabe, twc.health/Gabe. You can order it online. They're one-of-a-kind prescription Contagion Kit. Again, from the wellness company. Every house should have one of these. Check it out. Use code GABE, G-A-B-E, for our listeners. It saves you 10% and gets you free shipping at checkout. Thanks so much. Let's go back to the show.
So if we are talking about this solution, they had to say solution. First of all, we have to remember that all the Jordan was Jordan, and they control this area. Now, after 1948, Jordan became Jordan we know today. They have their own state. And more of that, about 20 years ago, we evacuated the Jews from Gaza periphery, not from Gaza, but Gaza periphery. And they have their own state. It was an election, and after 2 years, Hamas took over the government and ran the state. What was the result? They murdered thousands of our people. They raped. You know, we all know the stories. When you give a state for terror, don't be surprised that it will be attack you for all the world. We know now that the Palestinian police trained in Afghanistan. You know, I think from Afghanistan, I didn't hear nothing good that come from Afghanistan. Afghanistan raised terror for all the world. When you give state for the terror, it can attack you whenever you are. And if people think, today we all understand that it will never happen, first of all, it's unprotectable. No one will give a state for terrorists just, over, is it control, not just over, control Jerusalem and Tel Aviv and Ben Gurion, but more of that. Here we have a medal. I'm very connected. I got it for my grandmother. She was a Holocaust survivor. She passed away 3 years ago while she was 105. And at the 10th year of the State of Israel, they made a medal. On one hand, you can see a Roman coin. A Roman coin after exile. You can see a Roman soldier standing near the tree, and a slave, a woman crying under the tree. The Roman thought they took us over, they control the world, no more Jews in the State of Israel. After we came back, after 10 years in the State of Israel, the State of Israel published a medal. The same tree, that tree, and this woman right now raising a child with a hope, and her husband planted a tree, a new tree. That's what we are doing here. My grandmother gave me that and told me, you have to remember, this side, they tried to throw us away. They thought we will be over. There is no example for people that prayed for thousands of years to come back to specific place in the world for Holy Land, and after thousands of years come back with one hope. Not to punish, nothing else, only to build again, to rebuild, to plan it, to be a flourishing area, to bring a new hope for the place and for the world. She told me, you have to continue this process. And that's what we're doing here in Binyamin. We are planting vineyards. Gabe, we have here the best wine of the State of Israel here in Binyamin. And you yourself, very familiar with Psagot Winery. And when we came here, after exile, people told us, expert, you don't have to plant a vineyard here. It will not work. It's so hard ground. It will never happen. We, like a Jew, they say, no, we will try. And we get the best wine that we ever had. And the reason that is hard that the vineyards have to work to deepen its roots, you got a better wine.
And also, all you have to do is open a Bible and know that there were vineyards planted here thousands of years ago, to know that this is land rich for wine.
This is the reason that we try to plant it. But we say we are like the vineyard. We have to work hard to deepen our roots. Today I can tell you, Gabe, it's not easy. It's painful. We are paying a high price during the war. But you gave the best taste of children, of generation, that's proud, they want to do good. They are agree and want to fight for good against evil. So sometimes it's difficult to deepen your roots. This is our life, but I'm sure that we will see a very sweet fruits.
I hope so. And I pray for that to be the case as well. But look, the difficulties aren't just outside of Israel, they're also inside Israel. We've had right-wing governments, at least supposedly right-wing governments for quite some time in recent years. Still, despite the way the media covers it, settlements are not expanding like I think they should. Settlements are exploding actually in population. The families are large. I think you told me earlier today the average production rate is 5.5 kids per family, which is incredible. I have 5 kids, and where I'm from, that's like the max. Here, if I lived here in Judea and Samaria, I would be under the average. But still, if a Jewish community in Judea and Samaria, what they call settlements in the West Bank, would want to build an extra bedroom on their home, you'll get a condemnation from the United Nations and from Joe Biden and from whoever else. But it's easy to point the finger outside, which I think we should, and we already spoke about that. Internally, you're not getting those permits to build in the way that I think you should, and no one's made really an effort to annex Judea and Samaria, the Jewish communities in what they call the West Bank, and bring them in as part of Israel. Trump got close to it with the Trump plan, which I had things that it was a framework. I think it had some good things and some things that had to be worked out. That I was not a fan of as they were proposed. Why haven't we seen Israel annex the Jewish communities in the West Bank?
So we don't use the word annex because you annex something that does not belong to you. Here we are, and even according to the international law, I know that people say different. It's a part of our state. We have to supply
to apply sovereignty.
To apply sovereignty.
Same question.
No. But I think the word is very important because it's belong to us. You know, you asked about applying sovereignty. I want to share with you a story. About 3 years ago, just before Russia attacked Ukraine, I and my team sat in a Senate. We had a meeting with one of the senators. Well, I got a text message from my people here that they showed me an article that the Secretary of State of the United States announced that he is uncomfortable with a classroom that was built in a school in LA. And I asked the senator, Mr. Senator, look, you know, everyone knows that Russia is going to attack Ukraine. You have problem with Russia. You have problem with China. You have so many problems that we have to solve. You deal with a trailer classroom that I built in a town, in LA, in a legal town. Why? It's a trailer, 50 square meters. Can you explain to me what's the reason they're so deal? Secretary of the United States of America deal with us 50 square meter carbon today to build here in a house for a couple that just get married, or you know, people want to expand their house, more children, and you have 5. Thank God I have 7, and I come from a family of 9. We're 9 brothers and sisters. Today we have a permission. Unbelievable thing that before we got a permission for a master planning for the housing, the government has to get a permission from United States of America for this master plan. As a government, I tell you that I cannot give a permission before I get a permission from government and United States of America. Let's say, I will say I can't understand that. I think for the people that live here, we must apply sovereignty. I want to explain why. Look, you know this place very good. You visit here a lot. On the road here, you will see 70% will be Arabs and about 30% will be Jews. We share the same road, the same area. We are right now near a supermarket. Everyone can shop here. Now, without sovereignty, no one wants to invest in infrastructure here. Expand road, electricity, water pipes, gas, whatever. And why? The state officials say, look, I want to do that, but I don't know what will be here tomorrow. You don't let us to apply sovereignty. And who pays the price? The drive on this road. And every single day we have a car accident, the road is stuck because it's only one lane each side. So what I used to say, even for Democrats, if you want to help the people here, you have to push the Israel government to apply sovereignty here and invest money in improve the life of everyone here, developing industrial zone and bringing more job places, developing a health system, developing the road, all the infrastructure. And I'm sure when you bring better life for the people, it will be less terror.
So why are we not seeing that from the government? Why are we not seeing a push for applying sovereignty in all or parts of what they call the West Bank or Judea and Samaria from any of the parties, really? Any of the parties in power?
Gabe, we are in a war, and we're fighting that the United States of America will help us with missiles and bombs that we need to fight for our life. And it's not easy, you know that. You asked me about applying sovereignty. I'm sure if we had the support of the United States, we are a democrat state, we don't have to ask for permission. But today, we cannot do that. We cannot do that. And if everything else, I don't think the Prime Minister had to think what President Biden will say or do, it's a very bad situation. But I hope, and we work a lot about that if the administration will be changed, it will be a good chance to change the situation here. And from here, we say to all the people that support the state of Israel, that believe in our rights in the state of Israel, in the rights, believing in the Bible, in God, to stand strong and to say, you have to apply a sovereignty. It's your place. You came back. And I'm sure that everyone will do that. God will be with him.
Then we should be here all the way. That's why I asked the question. I understand the difficulties. I want to turn now to the dangers that we see from Hamas and other groups in what the Palestinian-controlled cities. Today, before going on air, you took me right before sundown to a rooftop in a Jewish settlement here, in a Jewish town here, in a community here. By the way, for everyone listening, here every word matters, right? You call settlement, a community, neighborhood, everybody starts reading into it. A beautiful community of over 2,000 people. A nice residential community. We're about 20 minutes for people who are listening. We were about 20 minutes from Jerusalem. We were on a rooftop in this community, and we were looking over Ramallah, a city of, I think you said 300,000 or so, right? And parts of Ramallah are maybe 20 meters from this Jewish town. People in the United States think Hamas is in Gaza, and the Palestinian Authority controls these cities like Ramallah, which everything is great. Can you give us a little bit of an understanding of the threats, the terror threats from the Palestinian-controlled cities like Ramallah in Judea and Samaria, West Bank?
So before I answer, if you allow me to share that when I told the amazing groups that in delegations that you brought here, we're going to the rooftop. Part of them thought that we are going for a party. When we talk about rooftop, we're talking about place for snipers to protect their people, about place that you can, adults, youth can stand and see when your enemies come. Because when the war began, I understood immediately that my people are in high risk. We saw the march, and I can show you many videos, march with Hamas flags, and they call in their mosque, let's attack and let's destroy the Jewish communities. They shot.
Where was that?
It was in Ramallah.
In Ramallah.
Look, I think I have here something, I'm not sure. I told you the story that I celebrate a 13th birthday for my son. It's called Bar Mitzvah and a Sabbat. And we have many people that came. At 11 p.m. we heard shooting near my home, and everyone asked what happened. I said, no, it's nothing. But after a time, my wife told me, you have to go out and check out if something happened. And I found that one. You can see here. Do you know what is it?
Looks like a bullet casing.
It's a bullet that hit my house from Ramallah. No, it's so close. It's so close. This small piece of iron could kill one of my family.
It was shot at your house from Ramallah.
It was shot from Ramallah. Since the war began, 500 terrorists had been killed in Judea and Samaria while they were on the way to attack our communities. The army operates every single day and night. People talking about Hamas South. Hamas is ideological. Hamas is everywhere. And for me, there is no difference between Hamas as Muslim brother, whatever. When I see the Palestinian school books that educate and teach you how can you prepare a bomb. Do you ever hear about a school books that educate about how can you build a bomb or how can you shoot? But if you educate for that, it doesn't matter what's the name. You will grow up a generation of people that try to kill, try to murder. You know, after October 7th, it was a survey here in Judea and Samaria. The Arabs community in Judea and Samaria, 87% support Hamas, what they did. 87%. So the army arrests since the war began more than 5,000 terrorists of Hamas or terrorists of Muslim Brother or Jihad, or doesn't matter what's the name. You know, a very interesting data. Do you know that a month ago it was a peaceful negotiation between Fatah and Hamas, 2,500 people. Do you know who hosts this negotiation?
No.
China. China, a month ago. Now, what do you mean about peace between Hamas and Fatah?
Fatah, for those that don't know, is the party of the Palestinian Authority.
Palestinian Authority. And now, one more fact. For about 20 years, there is no election in Palestinian Authority. And everyone knows why. Because United States of America don't let them make an election. Because only one reason. Everyone knows that in any case of election here, Hamas will be the government. Which means we are not talking about people over there. They're living here. They want to vote for Hamas. They support Hamas. They sponsor terror. You know, we see, and we see the attack in Judea and Samaria. Do you know how many of my residents I saw that had been murdered in the road, on their way work, on their way home, on their way shopping? We are now in Shar Binyamin. 200 meters from me, we have a supermarket. Yesha Council. He was a soldier, and he came with his young, without any weapon. He went shopping with his wife. He was murdered here, 200 meters from here. So we deal with terrorists. And they say it untable. We only have to believe them.
Sorry, what happened? What happened? He was murdered in the supermarket?
He was murdered here, 200 meters from here, from the super, while he was shopping. From terrorists, two terrorists came to the supermarket and started starving everyone that was shopping. No reason, nothing happened. A month ago, one of my friends and one of my residents, a Palestinian commander from Palestinian Authority came after a shift and shot a civilian in a gas station. They did nothing. They were home. About 50 Palestinian policemen had been murdered and were involved in terror attack here in Judea and Samaria after the war began. And the Palestinian Authority, they pay salary, untable. Do you know why United States of America don't transfer the money directly to Palestinian Authority, but through the state of Israel? Because in your law, you cannot sponsor the terrorists. So what do? You pay for Israel and say, please transfer the money for Palestinian Authority. It's unbelievable. You don't allow to sponsor terror, so you sponsor terror through someone else, and it's untable. It's not a secret.
It's really it seems like an untenable situation. After October 7th, everybody was saying we can't go back to October 6th. We have to live in a new reality. We can't be fooled anymore by our enemies and things that they say, and we have to take things for what they are, so we're not fooled again. I say we because I mean the United States, I mean Israel, I mean the entire Western world. And for a little while we were doing that, all of the we. But I'm seeing all of us, I say the United States and Israel and the European Union and whatever the rest of their free world is, flip upside down on that promise as well. Because when you're talking about the Palestinian Authority and paying salaries to terrorists and educating their children, not just to hate, but to kill. And it's a completely defunct organization, right? It's a terror organization as much as Hamas is, except they know how to play both sides maybe better than Hamas does. We know that Abbas is in his late 80s, 87, 88 years old. I know in U.S. politics today that means you're young and you've got many years ahead of you. But in real life, that means his life's going to come to an end by natural order soon, right? In one of these years. or one of these days, who knows. Common knowledge is Abbas dies, the Palestinian Authority dies with him because there's not a lot of control. What happens to this region and then Israel if there's a civil war, if the ball is, in basketball we call it a jump ball, right? If leadership is up, there's a leadership vacuum in the West Bank, in the Palestinian cities. Does it go straight to Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad? Does it really matter? Is it going to land in a terror organization's hand?
So what you raised, it's really a high risk for us. And the army and us really prepare ourselves for this situation. Because, even today, we see that Iran tried to send their arms into Judea and Samaria. We call it the supermarket method. What is the supermarket method? It's sending rifles, bomb, whatever, and try to bring them into Judea and Samaria because they understand that Judea and Samaria are located at the center of the state of Israel. Without Judea and Samaria, you cannot protect all the state of Israel. Tel Aviv will be Be'eri or Ofakim or Jerusalem supposed to be as a village because it can be attacked.
Can you explain that a little more? I think it's such an important point because that would be the answer to the question of what role do the Jewish settlements, Jewish communities, Jewish cities, Jewish towns, whatever word we want to use, in Judea and Samaria play in protecting the rest of the state of Israel? Why is it that without them, as you're saying, Jerusalem would turn in, God forbid, a Hamas-controlled city, and Tel Aviv would be a threat, and all the rest of the coast of Israel? Why is that?
So I can say it very clear. The Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria, maybe October 7th was the end of the state of Israel. And why? Without Judea and Samaria, the distance between the border, the sea and the border of Judea and Samaria is about 10 miles. Gabe, we can run it in an hour and a half. It's unprotectable borders. More of the Judea and Samaria located on the hills that control from here, from Binyamin, you can see from above, you can see Ben Gurion Airport, you can see Tel Aviv, you can see Jerusalem. Think about what would be happen if, like what happened in Gaza, that they have their own terrorist state, but the distance between this state to Jerusalem to Tel Aviv was 20 meters. So instead of attacking only Gaza village, Be'eri, all the names that we all hear about, they could attack. They could add and attack at the same time Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, in Netanya, all the state. Now, today, because we are here, we secure the area. The army operate here. We are here. What happened in Gaza? We didn't were in Gaza. They have their own state. What did they did for 20 years? They dug tunnels and they put a terror infrastructure. They bought and they produced missiles, and they were ready to time to attack. It could be here, and that's the reason that after October 7th, everyone understands that the ask of President Biden to build here, to establish here a Palestinian state, it's asked like for suicide. Because if they will be here as a state, it will never happen, but it can be the end of the state of Israel. To ask us to give a price to those terrorists that support Hamas and vote Hamas and sponsor terror every single month, and give them now a price, a state that will be the highest risk as we ever faced, we will never let it happen. And I think I can understand how the administration now asks for a Palestinian state or authority to stand alone. Didn't you see what happened? What did they do? And they have all the knowledge, intelligence. They know that. I heard that the United States support the Palestinian Authority in $280 million every single year. Did once you ask where the money go from? Because you know, on table that they pay salaries for terror. That they build illegal in Area C. That they are purchasing a rifle illegally. So I think you have to take care about the money. You have to follow the money. You have to take the money for better things like building infrastructure, landfills, sewage solution, industrial areas, high school, universities, not paying money for terror.
Israel Ganz, thank you so much. The strong words at the end, which I agree with, by the way, that gifting the Palestinians a state, especially after October 7th, which is what we're hearing from the Biden administration and from so many on the left in Europe, would be suicide for the state of Israel. It's not something that's going to happen. The world is at a war with terrorists, and you know that, with terrorism. In the United States, we feel it, but we're not on the front lines. Israel is fighting that war, and within Israel, it's the communities that you govern that are on the front lines of that war today. So we stand with you, and I urge all the listeners to come visit you. I know you and your team are always open. People need to come out here. Don't be afraid to come out here. It's right outside Jerusalem. It's the heart of the Bible, the heart of the Jewish people and the Christians around the world. And we urge everyone to come here. So Israel, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Gabe. And I want to use this opportunity to invite everyone that right now see us. Come on, stand with us. You're always invited to come and to stand and to say very clear to the whole world, we will be here forever. We will develop this area. And I promise you, Gabe, we are your boots on the ground. Together, we'll defeat this terror and our common enemies, and will bring a hope for this world.
Thank you, Governor Israel Ganz. Everyone, thanks so much for listening. Next week, we'll be back stateside with some interesting guests. Make sure to follow, like, subscribe. We're on all these platforms now. Do all the great things you do to continue supporting my podcast and all great podcasts. Thank you so much, and see you next time.